Hey, this is Syed Wasi, and today I have brought another solution regarding PTE. And the topic for my today's video lesson is why people are scoring poorly in speaking section of PTE Academic. If you feel that you have quite good skill in speaking and still you are not getting the right score in PTE, then you have come to the right place. I'm sure that after watching this video lesson, you will understand where the lackings are in your performance in the test. So this is exactly the video for those who are promising candidates but still not getting the right score in PTE Academic. So let's start. The first thing for you to understand is that you have to maintain a good pronunciation in speaking. Now, that depends on person to person, and every person is not able to pronounce every word correctly. But the thing is that you have to be able to pronounce 70 to 80% words correctly. Or at least, even if you're making a few pronunciation mistakes, you must have the right sounds of words pronounced right. For example, I'll give you some examples that are common mistakes in this continent, like in Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, those stuff. For example, the sound E and A. The difference, there is a very subtle difference between that, and people of this continent fail to distinguish between those two, and that's why say the answer they give in answer short question, or probably while they're doing the read aloud part, they lose a lot of marks. Let me give you one example. Say the word cat, C-A-T, cat. So suppose there is a question in the answer short question part, and the answer for this question is cat, and you simply know the answer and you say cat. So because you said cat, not cat, you have lost the entire point for this question. So that is an extremely important part, that you understand the distinction between sounds. Or say the word is member and you said member. So this word member is not recognizable by the computer at all. Let me give you some more examples of this. There are some other sound patterns. For example, ja and za. You are saying, say the word physiology, and you are pronouncing physiology or physiology, like both za. So that's a wrong sound for this word. One is za, the other one is ja. And then you say party, and you are saying farty. Many people, especially in Bangladesh, they fail to pronounce the sound pa, which is a fricative sound, like the native speaker would say pa, like people. You don't have to try that one, but at least say people. If you're saying people, so that's a very, very bad pronunciation you're doing. And of course, this kind of pronunciation is not understandable by the computer. So my point here is that even if you are doing a few pronunciations incorrect, at least do not mess up with the basic sound patterns such as a and then as I said, long and short intonation like fill and feel, then the basic sounds like ja, za, pa, fa. If you have difficulties with these things, first you improve some pronunciation by drilling those sound patterns. The second most important factor for poor scoring in PTE speaking is fluency. Now note the way I'm speaking. As you can feel that I'm not speaking too fast, but I'm rather giving my natural speech rate, and sometimes I'm also saying and then relaxing and some using some fillers, but I'm talking spontaneously. I'm talking fluently. That is fluency. So many people confuse fast pace with fluency. They try to speak really fast, but if you're speaking really fast, you are not getting the marks. Again, if you're speaking really slow and broken, sometimes we call it staccato, like broken, then you're not getting the marks as well. But for most of the candidates, the broken speech, the slower than required, and the tension sound is the main problem. For example, many people panic in the main test, and they sound nervous, and then they falter and they hesitate, and then they use lots of pauses. I will demonstrate to you why people score poorly in describe image or in any other part of speaking because of fluency. This image shows Spanish-speaking countries by population, and what is here is that Mexico number one with 80 million, and Also Chile is there, which is very low, and also Spain and Argentina, Colombia have moderate level of and also there is Venezuela, United States, and blah. So that was demo 1, where the speaker was initially hesitating a lot, faltering, and not were able to. Probably the speaker was nervous. He was not able to make sentences properly, and there were lots of hesitations and repetition. But what else was noticed there is that he suddenly increased his pace towards the end, and this is often done by many speakers during the test because of the tension of running out of time. But that must not be done. If you're doing this, like towards the end you suddenly pace up your speech, then you actually lose your marks, because you have to have a natural pace which is almost constant. Now I'm going to give you the demo 2. The image here shows the number of Spanish-speaking people in different countries around the world, and Spanish-speaking countries basically. So Mexico has the highest number of people with 80 million, and Chile has the lowest, which is below 20 million, and Venezuela and others. There are others who have more or less 20 million people who speak Spanish. In this one, the speaker was excellent. Of course, he was very, very fast like a bullet. But the problem is, you cannot be so fast that the computer doesn't understand you at all, because you're not talking to a human. The computer wants your natural pace, wants your natural speech, but at a natural pace, not like a crazy lunatic person who's in a hurry. Probably he needs to go to the washroom or somewhere. And also, towards the end, the speaker suddenly stopped for a few seconds and then added 1 or 2 more words. That is another big factor for not scoring good. You're a very good speaker, you speak well, but towards the end you stop, and then you suddenly remember I should add 2 or 3 more words, and you suddenly say it. So that's bad, because you suddenly added 2 or 3 words with your speech, and that reduces your marks. So again, for fluency, that's the moderate level of pace required, and you have to sound natural. You can sound in between sentences sometimes, but don't be too hesitant, and give your natural speed at the same pace. But you should bring variations in your tones while you're speaking. So now let me give you an ideal sample of describing image. The image here shows the number of people who speak Spanish in different countries around the world, probably North American countries, in millions. As I can see, Mexico has the highest number of people speaking Spanish, which is around 80 million, or that's more than that. And Chile, in contrast, has the lowest, which falls below 20 million. Interestingly, Argentina and Colombia more or less have the same number of Spanish-speaking people, between 20 and 40 millions. And there is this Venezuela and United States, who also have more or less same number of people speaking Spanish, around 20 millions. Now, the third important factor is the tone. Though I previously mentioned some times ago that you speak at a fixed pace but add variations in your tone. That's what I'm talking about now. Say, for read aloud, you are a good reader, but you read every text with the same tone. Then you get very poor marks. Why? Because you are not just reading, you are actually presenting a message to the computer. And remember, it's a robot, but it wants your human-like activity, like you, as if you are presenting a news or something, as if you are giving some information to your friend. So remember, not all information is the same or has the same type of value. For example, some message will have shocking news, some message will have happy news, some are revelations, some are inventions. So just let me give you an example with another analogy. For example, you come to your friend to congratulate him because he has become a father. So how would you say that? Would you say like this? Congratulations, my friend, you have become a father. That's not the tone. You have to say, hey, congratulations, you have become a father. So again, you are giving a bad news to your uncle that his son has got an accident. And he said, hey uncle, you know what? Your son has got an accident. Is that possible? No, you have to change the tone. Uncle, your son has got an accident. And yes, while you're talking directly, you have to change even the expression. So that is not required from the computer. So now let me give you a demo of a robotic reading, which is good but bad for getting good marks. Once you've picked a general topic for your paper, you need to come up with a thesis. Your thesis is the main and focal point of your paper, and it's the position you will take on your particular topic. Formulating a strong thesis is one of the most important things you need to do to ace your paper. So that was robotic because there was no variation in tone at all, and you feel that you will feel if you just close your eyes, you will feel a robot has read the text. So even with good pronunciation reading, you're likely to score lower. Okay, let me read this to show a demo for a good reading. Once you've picked a general topic for your paper, you need to come up with a thesis. Your thesis is the main and focal point of your paper, and it's the position you will take on a particular topic. Formulating a strong thesis is one of the most important things you need to do to ace your paper. So you see, according to the message, the stress, intonation, and other stuff varies. Also the right pause, remember, that's another thing. You have to give the right pause on full stop and comma and semicolon. And remember, for full stop, your voice has to suddenly drop to sound like a full stop. For comma, there has to be a voice of continuation, but there has to be little pauses. These are very important. So tone is very important. Another important tip for the tone part is that while you are doing this repeat sentence task, you have to maintain a good tone. Remember, it's not just about repeating the sentence. If you have repeated the whole sentence successfully, there is also the risk that you might not get the full score if you don't catch the tone. But don't mix up accent with tone. Accent is actually an individual's way of talking. The way I'm talking, that is my accent. But tone is different. What are the tones? I've been talking about this for quite some while in this video now. For example, you are sad, you use a sad tone. You're happy, there is a happy tone. So when you're doing this repeat sentence task, you follow how the speaker used tone. For example, the result for the report last year was alarming. So the sound alarming sounded alarming. So you sound alarming too. You just copy the tone of the speaker, not the accent. This way you will ensure better marks in repeat sentence as well. The content. Again, content differs from task to task in PTE Speaking. So let's again talk about read aloud. How do you measure the content there? It's not just the text you see, it's also the information there. So many people make mistakes in giving the right pauses, especially they somehow fail to read the stretch of sentences, and that actually reduces huge marks. How? For example, there are some chunks of information together that should be read together. For example, many papers you write in college. So you see there is this chunk of information that cannot be broken. If you say many papers you write in college, so you're breaking wrong pauses there. And that's not a good idea because this is a chunk of information. You may give pause after college if you want a little pause. Like many papers you write in college will require you to not a little pause, but a marker of dissecting the segments. But you cannot break the chunks of information. That will reduce marks, a lot of marks actually. And the second one is the phrase words. You must not break the phrase words. For example, consider successful networking. So here, successful networking is a phrase word. You cannot say consider successful networking as little more than the process. So why? Because that changes the meaning. You are saying consider successful. That doesn't make any sense. And then you are adding networking as little more than, again it is meaningless. So a wrong pause, especially breaking the segments of chunks of information or phrase words, will cost you huge marks. You now know what you have to do. And if you work on those parts, there is a guarantee that your marks will be boosted by 20 to 30%. But again, each individual will get different marks according to their skills and levels. But that is certainly a booster, this video lesson for you, if you understand this properly. Best of luck with the test. See you in another video lesson, and subscribe my channel if you find it useful. I'll see you there.